Confidence is such an interesting word. Simple yet complicated. Easily got, but elusive to some people. Yesterday, I was watching Sound of Music for the uptenth time, and when Maria started singing about confidence, I smiled because she reminded me that every day brings with it a reason to build or lose confidence, like just now when I stumbled on my words in the first few seconds. But hey, that's life. Today, I'm really, really chuffed to have Rolake Akinkugbe-Filani talk to us about how to build confidence. Rolake Akinkugbe-Filani is an award-winning energy and infrastructure specialist. She is currently the Chief Commercial Officer of leading infrastructure and real estate developer, Mixta Africa. Her background and experience spans finance, consulting, international development. She sits on several boards as a director. Rolake is also a renowned public speaker and public speaking coach at I Articulate, an executive coaching platform she founded for executives and business leaders. She's also a career mentor to many, many people, including myself, through her multiple streams of impact platform. In her spare time, she plays the piano and supports her huge network of sister friends, of which I'm proudly one. Welcome, Rolake.
Thank you so much for having me, Feran. Good to be here.
It really is, it's like super excited to have you here.
Yeah,
so, we're talking about building confidence. So let's delve right in. What does confidence mean to you?
I think confidence, I would interpret it as an innate self-belief that is, and when something is innate, it doesn't depend on external factors, right? It is not something that comes with the wind, but it's something you have to develop. So it's an innate self-belief that can be nurtured through some tried and tested techniques.
It's an innate self-belief. That's actually quite powerful. I'm going to go back to that. Why is it so important?
Well, I think confidence is leverage. It's a tool. And if you think of it as an innate self-belief, it's a trait. And I would go as far as saying confidence is a skill that can be acquired. So, people often talk about this nature versus nurture thing. If you believe that you can become confident, then you will find ways to work on building confidence.
If you believe you can become confident, you'll find ways to work on
being confident.
confident.
It sounds counterintuitive because I told you it's an innate self-belief.
Yes.
But we can internalize things over time, right? So are you part of the school of thought that thinks nature and nurture? I think it's very limiting to assign certain traits and attributes purely to nature. Because if people believe it's nature, they will resign themselves to the fact that I can never be that, I can never acquire that. And I think confidence is something that you can internalize through a series of practical steps and measures. So it's something that's innate because you have to do the work, but it's something that others can also help you with. And I can delve into that a bit more, yes.
Wow, okay. Do men and women relate with confidence differently? Are there different levels of confidence between men and women?
That's a really interesting question because I've never really thought of it along gender lines. But I think the perception of confidence is gendered. So a woman can really, really feel confidence. But the interpretation of that confidence is the problem. That's where the socializing aspect comes. So in our society historically, and I know our society is constantly evolving, it's not static. So belief and culture is not static. The perception of confidence in a woman can be interpreted sometimes as arrogance. We have in local parlance, words like ovasabi or asheju in my local language, Yoruba. So, and I think that's a problem, especially if you're in a society where certain traits are not common in particular genders. When you see it, you might overanalyze and overinterpret it. So there's often that fine line between confidence and arrogance. And I think...
Can you actually be arrogant as opposed to confident?
Yes, you can be arrogant. And often the display of arrogance is a sign of a lack of confidence in who you are. And we see it, and it's the same way you would almost interpret pride. Pride may be from a place of insecurity. It means there's something wrong with the foundation, so I need to perform. And that performance, because sometimes human beings, we're shallow, so we interpret that performance as confidence. But a truly confident person is somebody who doesn't need to perform. And what do I mean by performance? There's an aura, there's an appearance. We say keeping up appearances. Confidence is just a self-belief that comes from something. And so when I ask people, where does your confidence come from? Some people, it could be the source of their confidence is temporary things, material wealth, background, pedigree, who your parents are, where you went to school, all of these things. But if your confidence is rooted, deeply rooted, I know who I am, or I have been through certain things in life that make me me, or I've been through this trial, so nothing can shake me because I've been able to overcome. So that is confidence that is more rooted and grounded. And I think it's really important to understand the difference between what is a display of arrogance or performance and what is truly confidence. So that's really around the definition of confidence and how we interpret. And I think we need to be careful, both in terms of how we interpret it, looking at somebody who is confident, and what we believe about ourselves. And then we can look at the benefits of confidence.
But how easy is it to know if somebody's truly confident or they are pretending to be confident?
Well, I think that's a difficult one, because how do you pretend to be confident? And I'll give you an example. As a public speaking coach, when I teach body language as part of public speaking, I often say that if the words you speak and your body language are not aligned, people will always interpret your body language first. So they will never believe your words, because it's like someone coming to you and saying, Feran, I feel so happy today. And you're like, there's a misalignment between what I've just said and how I've demonstrated it. And you are a human being. You interpret my body language. You don't even listen to the words I say. But if I said, Feran, I feel so happy today, the alignment is there. Because the words I'm speaking and the body language, they make sense. Because you interpret happiness as joyous, exuberant, boisterous. And you interpret sadness as sadness. So I think that's a really important point to bear in mind. If a confident person walks into a room, nobody needs to tell you this is a confident person. There's an aura and an essence they carry. Now, that can quickly fall apart. Maybe when you start to speak to them and you get to the root of issues, you see that it's not really deep. It's more of a performance. But somebody who is truly confident, it starts to show in the actions they take, the way they speak, the things people tell you about them, and particularly when they face a crisis or they're in a very difficult situation. And I think I see this a lot in my coaching or public speaking, when I tell people, how do you display stage presence? How do you build confidence? So there's stuff that is innate, but then there's stuff that you can be taught. And there are benefits to confidence, obviously.
Wow.
Deep stuff, right?
It's deep. It's a lot deeper than I actually realized. Wow. Okay. But why does it seem that men seem to be more confident, seemingly, than women? Or is that
I think it's
correct?
perception, and I think it's interesting you use the word seem, right? Do you know for sure that men are more confident than women?
No, I don't.
Exactly. And this is the thing. I think perception is a big part of it. But there is an expectation in our society, and I don't really want to turn this into a gender conversation, because confidence is just gender neutral. But I think there's an expectation when you see a strong man who he's himself, he walks into a room, he owns the stage, he owns the environment, he's able to command and direct and all of that. He's a strong leader. It's a natural image we often see. So we don't really interpret it in any way. We see a woman, even us as women, and we're like, wow, what's a confident woman? Why do we have that reaction for the woman and not for the man? Is there an expectation that typically a woman may not be like that? So I don't think it's that because she's female, she's naturally unconfident or the man is more confident. I think they're just a series of things and norms we've come to believe about how people should behave or how they should act. But lacking confidence is not always a bad thing.
Okay.
And I think if I connect it to what makes us tick, if I've been given a big stage and they tell me that, maybe the VP or someone is coming to this event and I have to get up and speak, there's a little part of me that will be like, wow, the VP, okay, my adrenaline, a bit of healthy anxiety. And why that is good, because you always have to realize that in whatever situation, there always needs to be a competency gap. There needs to be a cross, for want of a better word. Something that keeps you just a bit on edge. Why is that important? Because it allows you to do the necessary work to be better. So if you're someone who is always, everywhere you go, you're always on top of your game, you're always confident, then you really need to ask yourself whether that environment is actually conducive to your growth and learning. Wow. And I think that's a very important principle. So how much does your lack of confidence consume you? Does it paralyze you and keep you from actually taking certain decisions or steps? If it paralyzes you, then we have a problem. Now, if the type of confidence, I'm not confident because of what? Do I need to read more about the subject matter? Do I need to have a conversation so I can better understand? And so it helps you close a gap by recognizing maybe you have a bit of anxiety around your confidence, your ability to be confident. Wow. So I think that's an important principle, and it brings a bit of balance to this discussion around confidence.
Can you be confident and vulnerable at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's a mutually exclusive concept, and I think somebody who is vulnerable is actually really confident. Weakness and vulnerability are often a sign of strength. Because we live in such a judgmental world, and you being vulnerable, you're not sure how people will take it or interpret it, but you're bold enough to be vulnerable. And so vulnerability as a tool is a sign of confidence. Wow. And I've been there. Times that stories that have happened to me, whether in my personal or professional life, are absolutely key to helping others be better. I have to be confident enough in myself to share that story because I know it will help somebody else. So that type of vulnerability is a fantastic trait because you are being an open book and you feel the need to share because it will help other people. So yes, they're not diametrically opposed concepts.
Wow. Do you have examples from your past experiences, from your life experiences, of where confidence has come to play?
Well, in terms of other people affirming me, yes. And I think that's a really important point because, I talked about it as an innate self-belief, but it's also self-belief that can be nurtured over time. So it's a combination of nature and nurture. But I think the people we surround ourselves with can either affect or boost our confidence. And it's a really interesting story. So my current role now, I remember when I went through, the interview process and, cut a long story short, I got the job and I was giving an offer letter. It was, I pivoted into a new industry. So there was a part of me that was like, can I really do this job? Can I not do this job? But I knew I was looking for a leadership position. And I remember when I got the offer letter, I was so shocked. And I was talking to my husband. I was like, I don't really know if I should really go into this whole territory that I don't know. And I remember for 2 weeks, I didn't go back to my now employer to accept. So anyway, my now boss called the HR director and said he wanted to have a conversation, that he wanted to give me feedback from the interview process. Okay. So I'd gone through 3 or 4 rounds. I'd met the board, the senior execs, and he said that there was 3 important pieces of feedback from some of the people. On panel interviews, some people disagree about a candidate, yes, and other people, and then you go with the majority. Yes. It wasn't really a consensus. And he gave me those 3 pieces of feedback. I was like, wow. By the time he gave me the feedback, the HR director was there. I was like, so in my head, I was thinking, so why did you people give me the job? Wow. It shook my confidence. And I went back in the car, because I remember my husband brought me there, and I said, well, you know what? I don't think I want this job. The guy actually called me to his office to tell me the things people felt were my weaknesses. And it was really interesting. I had that conversation with my husband, who's actually a coach. And he said to me, Rolake, that is a fantastic boss, because what he's showing you is your blind spots. So he wants you to come into this role knowing the areas you need to work on. That, wow. I had that conversation, and he said to me, why not call him and ask him, okay, thank you, sir, for the feedback, but if you don't mind, what were the reasons you all then decided I was still the best person for the role? The funny thing is I called him, and he gave me about 7 or 8 reasons. Wow. But the only reasons I had heard were the 3 things that I thought I wasn't doing well. So that was the other side I didn't see, and I'm glad I took that step. And why do I share this story? I share this story because here was my now boss telling me that, look, these are your area of weaknesses, but actually you have these really fantastic traits, right? But I don't want you to be blindsided. I could have let that feedback completely destroy me. And you know, we're often like that. Is the one bad thing that we hear. Meanwhile, they've told us how amazing we are, but that one bad thing, we're taking it and we're carrying it on our full chest. But it was really great because that was actually validating. And also it meant that I can become a more confident person if I take these areas. I know that they exist. I work to close that competency gap, and I'm constantly learning and growing, and I'm putting myself in a place where I can be constructively criticized and probed as a professional. That was very validating, and I think that's an important lesson. And when we even teach our children and young people, it's an important principle.
Wow. You've talked about putting yourself in a place where you can be probed and criticized. A lot of people shy away from that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a natural human reaction. There's nothing, feedback can be difficult, and I think part of it is self-awareness. And if you're not open to criticism, then I will really question your ability to be a leader. For instance, a professional world, I'm a CC to executive leadership can be a very lonely place. And we all have blind spots. And then it becomes, if somebody is giving you feedback and that shakes you and destroys you, you then need to ask, what is the true source of your confidence, right? Some people will say it's anchored in their faith. They call it Godfidence. Some people will say it's anchored in their family, the fact that they have people that love them. So that's why part of it has to be innate. Part of it has to be socialized, but a large part of it has to be a fundamental inner belief in your ability to be something or to do something. If something is innate, it's very difficult for the words of somebody to completely destroy that, because there's a part of it that is fundamentally about inner self-belief.
Wow. Are there any disadvantages to not being confident?
Of course. I mean,
that sounds like a silly question. But
But I think it's an important one. What are the benefits of being confident? I think access and open doors. People naturally gravitate towards confident people. When you meet somebody who has that aura, you gravitate towards them. And especially if the person is warm. When you combine that confidence with the warmth, people gravitate towards people who are confident. People see them, perceive, and that's the operative word, perceive them to be better leaders. And because if you're working with people, you have to be confident. Some people say thick skin. You have to be able to work with people. So I think there are benefits. Confidence is a propeller that enables you to take certain steps. If I have a proposal to submit for my business and I'm meant to meet key industry players and champions, if I'm not confident enough to sit at that table, knock on the door, then it acts as a barrier to me fulfilling certain things or taking advantage of certain opportunities. So there's a practical aspect of it. If I'm not confident to get up and come on this this program and platform and speak, then it potentially limits my ability to do other things. So it's also like there's a virtuous cycle of confidence. If I lack confidence, it doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should put myself forward and learn from it. I'll be better the next time I improve. Then I get invited to do more. As I get invited to do more, I build my confidence. As I build my confidence, I perform better. As I perform better, I get invited to do more. So there is a virtuous cycle to confidence. And I always say to people that even if you feel a bit unsure, if you can cover at least 80% of the ground, you're ready. Just go and do it. Because if you put yourself out there and you do it, it's so validating and reinforcing. The next time you're more than 80%, you're now at 90%, and so on and so forth.
I'm listening to you, I'm looking at you, and I'm understanding confidence. And the question I have in my head is, what if you don't have that innate belief in yourself and everybody else seems to?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think that there may be deeper issues there because, there's I can tell you, Feran, you're fantastic, you're great. You will never believe it until you do some inner work. And that may mean that there may be something more psychological going on. There may be root causes. Some of these go beyond somebody just affirming you. You may need to sit in front of a therapist. You may need to unearth things that have happened 10, 15 years back, or that happened to you as a child. You know, when I coach public speaking, I always tell people that when we're born, think about it, the first sign of life, we come out screaming, shouting, crying. A child that is 3, I have a 3.5-year-old now, constantly shouting and screaming. And I'm very mindful as a mom not to always be telling him, shut up, sit down, don't do this, don't do that, quiet. Because now that I coach people in communication, some of them, those beliefs that they have about the fact I can't speak, I can't talk, some of that started in childhood, right? So as young people, we're boisterous, but somewhere along the lines, by the time we're 13, 14, 15, we start to pull back. That innate self-belief that a young child has at 2 or 3, I can jump off the sofa, I can open the door, if I jump off this table, somebody's bound to catch me. We've lost it as adults, and I often ask why. So that is part of where the socialization comes from. So somebody who's struggling with it very late in life, they need to go back to the roots and start to unpack the issues.
Wow. This is, I didn't realize the depth of the conversation that we needed to have around this topic. But very quickly, before we round up, can you give us a few tools or techniques to build in confidence, like easy tools?
Okay. So the first thing I would say is, if you want to exude confidence, or if you want to be confident, start first by acting confident, because there's a psychology to this. So you go into a room, you sit at the back of the room, go into that room and go and shake hands, say hello to the person sitting there, look in their eye, ask, what's your name? You almost need to get over yourself. So if you want to build confidence, start by acting confident. The second thing is actually articulate the reasons for your lack of confidence. What is it? Are you fearful? Are you afraid of what that person will say? Are you afraid they will laugh at you? Is there a problem? If you can actually identify the root cause, then you can start to, like a sniper, laser sharp, actually attack it. And I think the most important part of confidence is, a lot of times, it's confidence in a particular situation. It's always situational. So I always ask myself, do I need to plug a gap? Is it a skill? There's a reason I'm lacking confidence. Is it because I haven't really done the work, or I don't have the knowledge? And we can start to then attack it that way. And then finally, sometimes you have to speak to yourself. You actually have to affirm yourself, the positive words of affirmation on a daily basis. And I think the combination of many of those things can really work wonders. And ultimately surround yourself with people who will uplift and affirm you, who also tell you the truth, but in love. I think those are important keys to building confidence.
Thank you so much, Rolake. It has been amazing. And I was, each time you speak, I kind of sit up straight a little bit more because I just keep thinking, this is a really, really important topic, and I don't think we're talking about it enough. We just coast through it. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we'll have you on again and we'll delve deeper into this topic.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. So we've come to the end again. John, Helen, and myself will very quickly round up the show. So please stay tuned. And I really do hope we've learned a thing or two about building confidence. Thank you.